What's going on, people? Myke C-Town here with another Dead Hip Hop solo album review, and today I'm talking about the new album from Sam Hill, aka Cage, with the Book of Sam, Infernal Depths. And for this review, I'm bringing in a friend, someone who's very familiar to the YouTube world, but that's Sean, aka Count Blagorath. So yeah, we're gonna give some thoughts on this shit. Check it out. Alright, man, so what'd you think of this album, dude?
Well, very first time I listened to it, it did the same thing that every Sam Hill song has done for some reason, which is just rub me the wrong way. I was able to dig like some songs, like I really like Pray to Jesus quite a bit right from the get-go. I liked Sam's Club, especially like the production on it, but after that it started to feel like kind of disjointed at first, and I just couldn't get behind nearly anything he was saying. But then, like, the more and more I listened to it, and the more I paid attention to it, I started having a hard time, like, finding anything to complain about. There's only one song that I tend to skip when I listen to this, and even then, I find myself, like, kind of, like, singing or rapping along with it when I'm listening to it. So even if I don't like it, it still sticks with me, so at least it's memorable.
This record was a long time coming. He'd been teasing this for fucking years now. I think on first listen, I wasn't loving it. And on the second and third listen, I was kind of like even on it. It just sounded to me like Kill the Architect Part 2, just with more edgy lyrics. I liked it, but I feel like I was expecting something a little bit more after waiting for so long.
I guess that's the one big gripe I have about this, is what exactly differentiates Cage from Sam. The thing is, that killed like some parts for me is where he kind of breaks, I guess, concept, you could say. He makes references to like Camus. We're looking at from like a conceptual perspective, I guess like Sam wouldn't have known him. So like why he's referencing him like kind of breaks concept, in my mind at least.
Cage, I feel like he does a lot of these things with his music, but he never explains himself. I think he just kind of expects for people to figure it out. And I remember some years ago, he stated that every time he puts an album out, it's a completely new character. And then he kills that character, and then another character starts over. Now, the thing is, I don't know if he means that in a sense of this is somebody that is completely disassociated from Cage, or if he's saying that this character is another side of Cage. Because I actually thought the same thing you were thinking, that if this is a completely different character, like he makes references to Alex, which is Alex the Worm King, which is something he used to call himself back in the day. Yeah, it wouldn't really fit in with the Sam Hill character. But if Sam Hill is just another personality / character of Cage, then I guess it would work. Or maybe we're just thinking about it deeply. I don't know.
Since like everybody knows this is just like part one, I feel like this is a good stepping stone for him to improve upon this. Like I think he has a lot of solid ideas. He just needs to like expand on them and just really hone in like the Sam Hill like character and like persona.
I agree. So I'm gonna say this. So I did dig the ideas that he was throwing out there. I liked the first song a lot. I liked the buzzed out production. It was minimal, the production, but in the right way. It didn't sound cheap. Like you, I liked Sam's Club quite a bit. I actually liked it more than the first track. The lighter beat worked really well, and his flow was a bit more interesting here. I know Cage has changed his flow quite a bit. Like he used to be a lot more complex and coded.
Yeah.
And I know that now he's more into just being more direct. And I think that's cool. But there are certain elements to this where I feel like they come off a little bit hokey, like the scary voice. I think that kind of ruined some of the songs for me.
The one song that I can safely say I don't like is Ouija Board.
Same.
To me, the moment I heard that with that intro with the people playing with the Ouija board at the beginning, I was like, this sounds like Psychopathic Records type
Exactly.
of production. And then with his flow at some points, it sounded like ICP, Twisted, that sort of shit. And I just was not feeling that. There's some like parts to the lyrics that I really liked, but it's a shame that it was delivered in that way, because I feel like that song could have been much, much better.
Yeah, there's quite a few things on here that I couldn't take seriously. You know, like when he's saying the part about maybe raise the dead, open the gates of hell. But it's the way he's doing it. It almost sounded like the guy from Thriller, like the Vincent Price voice from Thriller. It's like, that's not scary to me. And I feel like if he just delivered it in his normal voice, it would sound a bit more creepy.
Yeah, because like the big thing that appeals to me about later era Cage, because I got into Cage, actually, surprisingly enough, with Depart From Me. That was the first thing from his I ever heard. And the thing that I really liked about it was how disconnected he sounds, especially like when he sings and shit like that, because it adds to like the very depressing vibe that some of his lyrics have. I feel like if he would have stuck with that voice, especially on Ouija Board, that song would have been 10 times better. Just don't pitch shift. The only part that was pitch shifted I really liked was my favorite song on this album, actually, Scythe. There's that little bit of pitch shift to it, and I like that a lot.
It's just funny that you mentioned Scythe, because I actually have that down as that was my favorite track on this as well. I thought the hook was really cool. I like what he did with his voice there. His cadence was really, really dope, and it worked really well with the production. And it was understated, so it didn't sound over the top and cheesy, you know?
And the best part about that too, and that makes that song so sick to me, is how he makes references to the misanthropic Luciferian Order Temple of the Blacklight. The very end of that song is basically, like, from what I was reading, one of their like most important like spells.
And I've heard things like that before on like old Current 93 records and stuff, like old industrial records. And I think that that's cool that he's incorporating that into his music. And I just feel like if he did it in a more subdued tone, it would come off a lot more menacing than when you say things like this. It's like you're telling us that we're supposed to be scared. And I feel like if you don't tell us that we're supposed to be scared, if you just say things in an understated way, but you make us understand with your lyrics that you're supposed to be scared, it hits a lot harder. And I know that this is supposed to be the Sam Hill character, so I think maybe that's why he's doing the tone change. It's just, it doesn't work for me.
Yeah, that's like the only parts really about this album overall that I didn't like. Like everything else I really enjoyed genuinely a lot, especially with like how he was adding outros to songs that were like pure synthesizer and shit like that. Like some of those parts wouldn't feel out of place at all, like on a Nightbringer album. Just very evil, definite like black metal vibes from like the string work and whatnot. And I love that stuff, but it's just some of the delivery that just fucking kills it for me.
Yeah, and there are certain lines here and there, you know, like the tearing bitches' vaginas out like Bible pages. There's certain things that he, like you said, he adds a little sense of humor to it, and that's what Cage has always done. But I feel like a lot of those lines, they sound a lot worse because of the delivery. It's like an album like this is the difference between like a more cerebral kind of psychological atmospheric horror movie like fucking The Witch or Suspiria versus something like, you know, Hostel or Friday the 13th or something like that. Like I am more of a fan of those movies that really fuck with your mind, because I feel like they stick with you more as opposed to just being direct. I'm gonna chop your head off. Those things are cool and they sound aesthetically, they're fun, but I feel like if anybody can make a truly menacing, dark hip-hop album that's very informed with the occult, I feel like Cage could do that, but I don't think he needs to deliver it in this way.
Yeah, and there was just like a few lines that just made me roll my eyes, and like some that I laughed at, like because it was like funny with like what he said, but at the same time it like was distracting. Like the one from Cocaine of I stuck my face in her butt and saw Atlantis.
See, I think does he say butt or blood? I thought he said blood.
I heard butt, and all my friends heard butt. And when I looked it up on Genius, it said butt. I hope it's blood.
Because it makes more sense if he's saying I stuck my face in her butt. But if he says I stuck my face in her blood and I saw Atlantis, I saw the city.
Then I will go 100%. I will give that line a 100% pass if that's what it is.
Let's hope.
If it's butt, even if it is, I'm never gonna unhear it.
Well, I mean, since you spoke of Cocaine, that was actually the other song that I really didn't like. It was just very basic to me, and that was one of the worst examples of the spooky voice, and it didn't do it for me.
I can get past like the kind of cheesiness if the lyrics make up for it. It's one that I don't skip, but it's not one that I'm like pumped on when I hear it like come on.
Sure.
You mentioned like how Misanthrope and Super Baked are older songs. Those actually didn't sound too out of place with their placement in the track listing, and I feel like the new production actually helped out a lot.
Super Baked is one of the songs that he dropped a while ago that I was really, really, really into because it reminds me a bit of classic Cage. You know, especially his flow. Little kids flip out, go eat a handful of acid and torture mom's house. Like, that's the kind of shit that I love that Cage used to do. And the beat was dope as fuck, and it worked really well with the kind of playful lyrics. But I did notice that he added some more, I don't know if he did, but whoever is a producer added some more bass to it, and they added some more guitars to it that weren't there before.
Other than, like, Depart for me, like, I don't like guitar in hip-hop. I usually think it sucks most of the time. It just ends up sounding like some corny ass fucking 90s rap rock shit.
Yep.
This actually was really cool, especially after the hook, with how it was like almost like a lead. It didn't feel distracting at all. It felt perfectly in place on the song.
It wasn't overdone. And that's the point. With a lot of the stuff that he's doing on this album, I think he's setting a good foundation for parts 2 and 3. But I think it's all about the subtlety of things. I think when you overstate things, you kind of beat people over the head and they kind of like pull away and they're like, I'm not really digging this. But if you introduce certain things very subtly, then I think that they work a lot better. I'm not into rap rock at fucking all. But I think that guitars have a certain place in hip hop production as long as you're doing them tastefully. And that song did.
I gotta say too, the new sound of Misanthrope is fucking amazing. I love the way, like, when the bass kicks in on that.
So were you surprised that Pukerist and Excuse the Blood were not on this album?
Yeah, I was really surprised, and I was kind of disappointed because Excuse the Blood, I'm still not the biggest fan of the Pukerist, but Excuse the Blood is one of my favorites, and I feel like that song would have worked just as well on here as any others, and I wish he would have replaced Ouija Board with that one.
And I'm actually a big fan of Pukerist, even though it is a little bit direct with the, you know, say Satan us, hail Satan. But I think it sounds really fucking cool. To me, if you snatched out Cocaine and Ouija Board and dropped in Pukerist and Excuse the Blood, I think I would have liked this album a whole lot more.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, like, we've been kind of ragging on some shit here and there, but, like, I really like this album a lot. I think it's a fucking awesome album. I just think that there's some room for improvement, and I feel like if, as you said, gets rid of that, like, weird voice and that doesn't make shit so direct, I feel like this could be, like, one of the best albums of the year, in my opinion, at least.
I'm glad you said that because, yeah, we have been critical about certain things with this album, but I enjoyed it too. Sonically, I really enjoyed it. And I feel like Cage is one of the only people that I would be that critical about when it comes to delivery and vocal effects, because I feel like he's very informed about the topics that he wants to rap about. And I would love to
Absolutely.
hear him do it in a way that's a little bit more appealing, but a lot scarier without forcing me to get the point. I think people may look at this and say, oh, they didn't like it because they're being critical. And I want to drive the point home that I feel like we're both being critical because we did like it. And I feel like we're
Yeah.
both being critical because we feel like we would like it a lot more if these certain aspects and elements were tweaked just a little bit. Because I feel like we're both in agreement that this is a good album and it's a good foundation for the following parts.
Absolutely. And like, I hold Cage to such a high standard because if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't have gave hip hop a chance. My friend picked up Depart for me because he heard Hell's Winter and he was like, "This dude's just fucking crazy. If there's gonna be a MC like this, is gonna be the dude." Took me a little bit, but once I got into him, I went through his discography, just fucking loved every single album, and I want to love everything he puts out. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So real quick, your overall impressions of this album and your expectations of parts 2 and 3.
All right, so overall, I really like this album a lot. I'm going to be listening to it quite a bit until part 2 comes out. It's extremely enjoyable. My expectation for part 2 is to just really hone in on the Sam persona, hopefully ditch that voice, try to make everything as like cohesive as possible. The way it is right now, I'm honestly feeling like an 8 out of 10. I really, really like this album a lot, and I'm going to continue to listen to it whenever possible.
I'm enjoying it quite a bit. I think the beats that he chose worked really well for the topics that he's discussing. I think the more direct flow, it definitely works for Cage, even though sometimes I do like the more intricate flows that he does. But I think it's a good idea to have some differentiation there, some diversity there. So that was a good choice. For parts 2 and 3, as I said, I feel like this is a really good foundation. I feel like parts 2 and 3 could be a lot better with certain things toned down and other things turned up. But I'm actually really excited. I think that the occult element is something that's been missing in hip hop. And I think that if anybody can do it well, I think Cage can. So I'm actually really looking forward to parts 2 and 3.
And you know, like, I'm glad you mentioned the occult aspect of it, because when I saw that he was going like this occult direction, I was really hoping he wasn't gonna go for the low-hanging fruit of occult shit. Like, to me, like, Levian Satanism is like the Bud Light of the occult. And I'm glad he didn't go down that road, and he actually went into like Luciferian like ideology and went further into the left-hand path with genuine like devil worship or what have you, versus the whole atheistic sort of point of view.
I'm actually a fan of either one if the artist can do it well. I just think that one of them is just a lot more common. So I'm with you that I like that he went this route as opposed to the other.
Yeah.
I want to thank you, Sean, for doing this with me, man. I really appreciate it. And if you want to tell the people where they can find you.
Well, thanks for having me. It was cool to do my first hip-hop review ever with you.
Dr. Cherry.
Yes, you did. Yeah, check me out here on YouTube. Just Count Blagorath. Look me up. I show records. I talk about music, and that's really about it with my life. Music is my life. So check out my channel.
And I'll put all links down there, so make sure you guys click those. So that's it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Make sure, if you've heard the album, to leave some comments down there and let me know what you thought of it. And make sure you check out Sean's channel, man. You guys will enjoy it, especially if you like metal. And keep an eye on this channel for some reviews. I'm trying to get caught up with a lot of shit that I've missed. So yeah, as usual, thank you for living, thank you for loving, thank you for being you, and I'll see you guys next time. All right? Peace out, boy!